All right, we're talking about the first recipe out of the cookbook of Steelmade. It's great to test these. I'm going to put some notes in there, and I'm going to just show you my style of cooking. So a little bit more detail to surface temp and kind of help you if you're making these recipes and you're new to this Steelmade. I use a Pro Series, and yes, here we go. The first recipe is the McGriddle. So we're going to do a few different versions of this because could be a scrambled egg or a fried egg. So I just want to show you what I do, and I'm going to get everything ready, and I'm going to start firing it up. Alright, seems like I got everything going. So now what I'm going to do is turn on the burners, and then I'm just going to kind of cook. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, but I'm using Bisquick, just a recipe. 1 egg, some milk, just get it going. I'm not making a full batch. I'm going to add a little vanilla and cinnamon to this. But what I'm going to do first is get the meat going. So that's the first step in my opinion. And this is Applewood rice bacon. Second meat we're going to do is the Jimmy Dean Original. It's one of my favorite, by the way. And it's going to count up. And this is a time stack from Thermopin. So once again, this will be in my links, but it's just one of the best companies, I think. I met the headquarters out in where I'm from in Salt Lake City, Utah, and they kind of give me the info for all their stuff. So I'll be using a timer, and then I'll also be using this thermometer, which has a surface temp reader, so we can see surface temps. Right now, nothing's happening. It's just warming up. So this is the start, and we'll kind of keep it going. As you can see, the flame is not too high by any means. For example, if I went full on this burner, because this commercial, it could get really hot really quick. So the two front, I think I'll just play with that to show you that how big the flame is and that the thickness of the Steelmade doesn't hurt it. I'm heating the center just to kind of heat the whole thing so it doesn't have a super cold spot, but it's not really necessary for this. I'll probably start moving the bacon around. Since I don't have a drip where the holes are at, I kind of just use a spatula. As we have maple syrup, which is all pure. I have some cheese, some sharp Sargento. I didn't want to go extra sharp. I think the sharp will be enough flavor. There's a lot of sugar in this, and the saltiness, so I just kind of want to have the cheese come together. And then, like I said, I have the eggs, and I have a little bit of fresh chives that I want to kind of put on this, give it a little bounce. So we'll just wait for the meat to kind of finish. That's why I say start the meat first. I think it's just better because the meat takes longer, especially if it's a fresh patty. If it's already done and you're just reheating, yes, you can do that, the pancakes and then that. But then once the meat is done, we can find a cooler zone and just kind of set it aside while we do the pancakes. So we're 6 minutes in. Right here is 290, and it is already climbing to 300. This back is 250. This is 240, and this is 250 and climbing. So what you're going to see is I'm just going to move this bacon over this hot zone. You're going to start to hear it now. See how that sticks? Won't stick as much if you grease up your spatula. Flatten them out just a touch. It'll make a better sandwich. So at the McGriddle, what we're going to do is put the pancakes down, and that's your top and bottom, as you probably know. But we're trying to get the circumference right too, so it doesn't overbear the meat, so it lines up, kind of how the nice little circles. 380. I'm going to start turning this one down just a little. And now, since I have a hood, I'm also going to turn on my hood. This helps the smoke kind of clear out of the house, so we're not going to catch anything, fire alarms and things of that nature. So I do recommend a hood if you're going with a high heat, with any Steelmade actually. Same thing on the left side. I just had to turn it down just a little bit. We're starting to see temps of 380, 400, which is plenty enough heat for what we're doing here. See, the bacon's going great. So a lot of times I just kind of cut the bacon as we go. Makes it easier to work with, and I'll probably have to go another cut after that. When you flip, you get that initial water, so just be careful you're not too close to it. That's the tricky part about cooking on these, is that any water that hits grease will pop. So right around 380, 400 is great for meats. So you can see one side is heating quicker than the other. So now I'm gonna move this here. Kind of give it a little press, get those juices going. Sausage you want to 160, but I'll probably take it to 180. I like a little bit more well done sausage overall. So as I can see, a little grease kind of almost want to come off this griddle. What I'm going to do is, since I don't have a catch, I just kind of move the bacon. I get the grease, put on my spatula, and throw it in my trash bucket. I'm using a bowl for this video. Rice bacon is one of the trickiest to cook because it is so thick. It does get off a lot of juice. So what I tell you is, if like you want to save a lot of bacon juice, just throw it in the pan. But then again, I like how the flat top cooks with some crunchiness. So I do lose a lot of the bacon grease, but I try to use it as I'm cooking other things. So like I'll probably just use it with the pancakes. Why put anything else? Butter does brown a little bit better, but you can use either or. So maybe I'll just do one and show you the difference. The right hand, left hand side are about 417 now, and we're about 417 over here too. Hence why I turn these down just a touch, because we've kind of hit the temp we want. We are 13 minutes into cooking, and as you can see, the bacon's almost done. We're almost ready to go to the next step, so pretty quick. About 160 and 180. So once again, just really quick heating because the surface temp is so hot. So the pork is done. I'm gonna put them back here. This is our zone of that's not really heated. So now that back one's off, this burner's here. So I kind of just play the burners as I need them. As you can see, once it's hot, it cooks a lot of food. I could have done probably 2 to 3 times as much as this, but not needed for this video. I think it'll show you some examples and hopefully help you out. And so now the pancake. Once again, bacon was cooked about surface degree, about 400 degrees. I want it hot for the pancake too, but not scorching hot. And when they come off, I don't want them sitting in the grease. I want them nice and fluffy. So what I'm gonna do is let them air out. So that when you have a sandwich, it's nice and firm. Just under 30 minutes of cooking. That's 430, so I'm gonna turn that down a touch. And the first one I'm gonna do is a little bacon. So I just kind of got the juice over here as much as I need. And we're gonna lay some pancakes. And I got about a 2-inch scoop on this, so I'm gonna do a little bit less in the scoop and see if I can make these pretty small. It's almost like 3/4 of a scoop. Try to make it a circle if you can. It'll help the sandwich. So once again with bacon fat. Now here's the fun part about the McGriddle. You want to get a teaspoon. So we're going to see how much that looks like. Of the syrup, which is the maple syrup. We're going to drizzle on top. Maybe I should have did that right away. I think it'll still be fine. But who doesn't like a little maple syrup with their pancakes? Got a little caramelizing sugar. I'm just going to kind of clean up as I flip. Oh yeah, wanted to stick on me. Nice and brown, that's that bacon fat. See the edges are coming up. That's a good time to flip your pancakes. Throw it right back on that syrup. I'll say if it wasn't for the flat top, this would be quite a mess with the syrup, but the fact that we can clean it up easy, move it around. You see there's getting pretty firm, so what I'm going to do is just put them on a rack until we're ready to go to the next step. But they do get sticky. Let those air dry. Clean up any of the maple, because we're going to go round 2, but this time we're going to do it with butter. What I'm going to do this time, yeah, the hard part about maple is that it will burn, so you got to get that off as much as you can. Let's get a temp on this. Ooh, we're at 460, 300. So this front one needs to come down just a little bit. And the back one even too. We got some good smoke going on here. I think that fire, that sugar really gets it going. So this next round I'm going to do with butter. I'm just going to take a touch of butter, push it over there so it doesn't all melt. Thin layer, not a full scoop. So maybe 1.5 ounces of batter. This time I'm going to hurry. See if I can get it to stay in the wet. A little bit better. So maybe that's the way to go. Just gotta do it quicker. I think the fun part about maple syrup is it's very thin and it kind of runs very quickly. If you have a thicker syrup, it actually might work. So I just kind of eyeballed those ones. Some nice brownish. You see the butter acts as a great browning agent, so it definitely helps. So I'm always constantly checking the temp of this because you just never know the spot. So we're 440 here, about 400 there, 380 to 400 is a good spot to be. We're definitely cooling back down in the back a little bit too much, so just a little bit help back there. Oh, look at that. Nice caramelization. You got that maple coming off. Had to clean up my spatula. Kind of getting a little too thick there. So I'm going to lay the rest of this batter. I kind of like these smaller ones. Definitely half a recipe of what Bisquick calls for. So it's basically a cup of that and then 1 egg and some milk. I also put the cinnamon and vanilla in it, but kind of stretches when you go with these smaller pancakes. You know, and I get what they're saying, like make small ones, and I'm like, well, how small? So as you can see, it's basically 1.5 ounces of batter into circles. And then you go over with the maple syrup and make a mess. Oh yeah, I love it. Just destroyed this one. Push it back together. See if we can save it. Yeah, the sugars, as they kind of cook, you're going to see that they get really sticky, so you got to kind of manage that, kind of get it off. So I just kind of put it in the washer, scrub some off, got it down a little bit. So once again, I got to get this side clean so when we cook the eggs, there's no remnants of burnt or syrup or anything else. But I'll tell you, these are going to be delicious. I can already tell. We're roughly 45 minutes into this, and yes, we're making a lot more pancakes. I kind of want to show you what could happen if you start adding too much or too little, but maybe you'll like it because it caramelizes more. Maybe you're on the fence about a flat top from Steelmade, and you're like, oh, after seeing this, you're like, yes, let's do this. You can have a mess, and it's super easy to clean in comparison to anything else. So we made about 6 setups for sandwiches with 1 cup of Bisquick, and like I said, just smaller scoops of about 1.5 ounces of a scoop, 3 inches on most of these, maybe a little under. So that's a good ratio for a sandwich. So all I'm going to do is kind of give this a little cleanup and turn these down. I want it about 350 surface temp for the eggs. And as in recording, the mic died, so I'm just going to narrate. So this is a ring that's roughly 4 inches. It's a silver ring. I'll put the link in the description. I cracked an egg, salt, pepper, and you see that the surface temp of the flat top is around 380 with just a little bit of butter below that. And now I put a lid on to kind of make sure it steams properly for the egg. This is only going to take about 2 to 3 minutes depending how you want it done. I didn't want the egg yolk to cook, so I'm taking it a little bit early. I'm using a flat spatula here, and that allows me to lift that ring nice and easy. You will have to wash that if you need to use it again. I have a few, so I just want to show one for example. I also cut the cheese to the mold to kind of make sure that it fits the sandwich just right. But as you see, with not overheating that flat top, it comes off nice and smooth. Now I wanted to preserve the yolk, so I'm pushing the bacon around it and putting the lid on top. Not going to do much, because when we cut into it later, hopefully we have that magical yolk come. The next thing is laying a little bit of butter. Once again, checking the temp. I constantly check this temp. It's so important to get this temp right, especially for eggs. Eggs are some of the toughest items to cook because of the proteins and how they set. So as I lay it down, a little salt and pepper, of course, with your eggs, and I'm spreading out that egg white. I'm really trying to make sure all that egg white cooks and not the yolk. This is going to be a hard fried egg. I'm putting a little chive in there, once again, liven it up. Then putting the cheese on the sandwiches, not the whole square, but just to cover the actual pancake. Now going back to the egg, you see that I broke the yolk, and now I'm kind of cooking it so that it all comes together. Grabbing my sausage, putting it down, warming it up, getting it ready with the cheese, and see how I rolled that together and it kind of comes together, and I'm just got to make sure that it's gonna fit the sandwich. And what I do is I flipped it, and then I put the pieces of top onto the sandwich and the cheese. So you got egg on top and bottom, and then the meat in the middle with the cheese, and as it sits there, it kind of melts and it molds together. Very delicious for a hard-boiled egg or a hard fried egg. Now this is scrambled eggs. I put a pinch of salt in there, and I just kind of whisk them up. And as they're cooking, once again, you see nice even cook. It's not scorching hot. It's around that 350, 360. The scrambled eggs take a little bit longer because you want to let it set on that first side. While that's going on, I'm setting all the sandwiches with the cheese and the meats. I'm trying to figure out how 2 eggs I'm going to spread onto all these sandwiches, but I'll make it work. What's nice, when I flipped it, you can see it cuts very easily. Probably the easiest one to work with to build sandwiches. So here we have it. As you can see, these are the scrambled eggs. This is the fried egg that kind of fell and the cheese melted and kind of bonded together with that sandwich. And this is the egg mold with the fried egg with the runny yolk with a little bacon. So now, how about I just put the bacon on top? One thing it does say in the cookbook is, why not add more syrup? So let's give it a look and see if this will work. Just look at that yolk run. See that in there? Yeah, that's a winner. That's a keeper. So yes, oh my gosh. It's a mess, and don't get me wrong, because the egg yolk, I did that on purpose. But just everything about this. The firmness, not overcooked, not hard. Gotta try the next one, right? So once again, you see that this is the sausage, the hard fried egg with a little chive, cheese, sharp cheddar. Decadent. The pork is great, but just how the egg is just molded, nicely cooked, not overdone. Once again, the flat top just does it right, and I love that I can do this cookbook. I'm a mess right now, so what I'm going to say is, you know, I made some notes. I'll take a close-up shot of this when I kind of clean up. Maybe this will help you, so if you get this cookbook, then you'll be like, oh, I have a few tips to make sure you do it right. But just the fact that it soaks it up, and the egg and the cheese molds, the pancake is delicious with a little bit more syrup in there. You can't go wrong with this recipe, so I look forward to anyone that supports. You know the drill. I don't have to tell you what to do. I'm just saying I love cooking, and I'm Chef D.Mart. Hey, I'm Chef D.Mart. Just want to show you the griddle. And the McGriddles. I'm just telling you, I can't stop eating them. And I waited about 10 minutes and I just kind of wiped it again with a paper towel, and it's ready to go for my next cook. Nice and clean, no issues. So thank you very much, Chef D.Mart. I'll be making more recipes. Appreciate it. Stay hungry and get a flat top. Links below, of course. No brainer. Thanks.